risk. We have offered to work directly with the Department of War on R&D to improve the reliability of these systems, but they have not accepted this offer. In addition, without proper oversight, fully autonomous weapons cannot be relied upon to exercise the critical judgment that our highly trained professional troops exhibit every day. They need to be deployed with proper guardrails, which do not exist today.
There's a budget for collateral damage in the Department of War, and you'd be shocked by how big that budget is. The whole point, I think, is us as civilians, we're not exposed to that on a daily basis. But the Department of War is. They know civilian casualties happen. They have a budget for it. Whereas I myself would say I don't want anybody. If even one person is killed by accident, principality kind of has to step in and we say it's not ready. But yeah, the Department of War thinks differently.
Here's this is the AP news article. So let me see here if I can pull this up. This is the AP article. Anthropic said it sought to narrow assurances from the Pentagon that Claude won't be used for mass surveillance of Americans or in fully autonomous weapons. But after months of private talks exploded into public debate, it said in a Thursday statement that the new contract language framed as compromise was paired with legalese that would allow those safeguards to be disregarded at will. And then the Pentagon replied, posted on social media, "We will not let any company, all caps, dictate the terms regarding how we make operational decisions. Anthropic has until 5:01 p.m. Eastern time on Friday to decide if it would meet the demands or face consequences. And if it doesn't meet the demands, they're going to cancel a $200 million contract that they've and I guess restrict their use within the DoD." So this is interesting. And then to flesh this out a little bit more, there is another. So Pentagon is embracing Musk's Grok AI chatbot as it draws global outcry. This is actually from January, this is a few weeks ago. And Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said Monday that Elon Musk's artificial intelligence chatbot Grok will join Google's generative AI engine in operating inside the Pentagon network as part of a broader push to feed as much of the military's data as possible into the developing technology. That must be what that $300 million campaign donation was for.
Yeah.
Very soon, we will have the world's leading AI models on every unclassified and classified network throughout our department. This is literally the fucking plot to Terminator. This is exactly.
Yeah, it is.
After that, they flew with a perfect operational record. Hegseth said in a speech at Musk's spaceflight company SpaceX in South Texas.
Where is it? Hold on. Here we go.
So this is what's going. So their preference is Grok. Now this is just another funny article. This is an unrelated thing on Futurism last week. Court. So Elon has to go to court because he manipulated Twitter's stock price when he bought it, and they're taking him to court over it. And they can't find a jury because everyone fucking hates Elon.
Yeah, they've thrown it out, haven't they? They threw out the jury, like a lot of the, because they get to pick, don't they? You get to pick from a pool, and yeah, aren't they all? That his defense is literally nobody likes him.
It's pretty. His legal team is discovering that it's pretty hard to find impartial jurors who don't quote hate the billionaire's guts, according to new reporting from Courthouse News. Whatever your opinion is on Mr. Musk, Twitter, or Tesla, can you set it aside in the sense that you will judge the defendant based solely on the evidence produced in this trial and the law as I give it to you? And yeah. So the guy that no one fucking likes, that everyone hates, that's being sued right now for manipulating the stock price of the company that he bought to turn it into a whole social media empire for himself, and then donated $300 million to the current administration's presidential campaign, has now been given the keys to the Defense Department's complete data set, I guess, and they're just letting them have carte blanche on all this stuff. And Anthropic is saying, no, we don't want to give you unrestricted access to our model because if we were to use it to kill Americans or surveil Americans or do anything illegal with it, we just have ethical problems with that. So interesting backstory. Anthropic was started because Dario Amodei was the VP of product development at ChatGPT. and his wife was the what did she do? She worked at OpenAI also. They left OpenAI. They were the top two of the top executives at OpenAI. They left because they were concerned that OpenAI was too fucking loosey goosey with all of the risks.
Didn't one of them was like ontologically shocked, and he started just painting as a hobby. Like he changed professions. Like,
dude, one guy just checked out altogether. That was like 2 weeks ago. That guy, the safety guy, he was like, "I'm just gonna go paint."
Yeah. One of the authors for AI 2027 was like the head of security, wasn't he, for ChatGPT?
Mm-hmm.
And he eventually said, I think we need to be careful here. And they were saying, they just kept giving the security team budget cuts. So eventually he said, yeah, I can't do this job. And he left and then wrote the article that kind of is still devastating now.
So 2027, AI 2027 is the date that they predicted, more or less, with a window, but let's say within 2 or 3 years. So 2028, maybe 2030, somewhere in there, that AI takes total control. And we were all like, well, that sounds really soon. That sounds really, really, really fast. But then this other news item dropped just last night. I only learned about this morning in our chat. You told me about this. Where is it?
I got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
All right, set this one up, Xander.
I mean, there's not a great deal to tell. It's just you probably, if you want a safe bet, emerging market, let's go work in AI. That's cool. I'm fresh out of university. I'll take a low-paid job in AI development. I'll be a code monkey for a few years and build up my CV.
Coders
I know.
Making really good money too for the last 20 years, 30 years.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you've realized you've just built your own grave, because within a few years of you joining this company, and again, no problem here with Jack Dorsey's decision. He is running a company, but these guys have written themselves out of a job. And these guys, you'd think they'd be safe because they're developing the products that everyone else in the world is going to use and already is using. But no, Jack Dorsey has just fired basically a third of his staff because, I don't want to quote, I'll paraphrase, saying, I just don't need them.
He fired 4,000 employees overnight, and he said it was because AI is basically making their contributions unnecessary.
4,000 out of 10,000 he fired.
So fuck, that's a lot of fucking people.
Yeah,
and they're doing this as the company is making record profits. This is his new company. So he goes, quote, "We're not making this decision because we're in trouble." Dorsey wrote in a letter posted publicly on X on Wednesday, quote, "Our business is strong. Gross profit continues to grow. We continue to serve more and more customers, and profitability is improving." And their gross profit is growing 24% year over year. They're at 2.87 billion. And he was able to cut 4,000 people and still be fine. And so Wall Street is reading this as the market is pricing humans as liabilities. Basically, this move boosted that company in the eyes of investors. The stock reaction to Block's layoffs was the kind of signal that shapes corporate strategy. A company announced it was firing 40% of its workforce, and investors added billions in market value within hours. Firing 4,000 people, and the stock rips 18%. The market is literally producing pricing humans.
18% is crazy.
This is really important to point out right now, because an AI world is not compatible with capitalism, especially regulated capitalism, because Jack Dorsey and everybody else who's head of a publicly traded company like this, they have a fiduciary responsibility to make the best decision for their shareholders. And in this case, that literally means putting people out of a job. They have to do it. If they don't do it, they are literally they're breaching the law, because they have to maximize using reasonable methods. They have to maximize profits, and this is if he didn't do this, he would be acting irresponsible for his shareholders. So what's it going to be in 5 years?
Right.
That's what that's what Amade is saying. Like, we're on the cusp of a huge shift.
You
Yeah,
were
and you
talking about
mentioned,
the universal basic income or something like that, right?
I don't think universal basic income is the answer that people want.
I think
it
it's
to
a
be.
short term.
I
That's
think
what they're
it's
talking about now. Sorry, Eric. Sorry.
nope, you're good. You mentioned Dario earlier, and Xander was mentioning, when is AGI going to take over? Dario himself predicts 40% of all jobs gone by 2030. The most dire prediction is Roman, and I can never pronounce his last name. Starts with a Y. Big fan. So you think I would know how to pronounce it? He has the most dire prediction by 2032, 99%. But then, you're gonna reach this threshold, which we're in now. If AGI can do a better job than a human, how are you going to justify keeping that person employed? It's just because you
can't.
can keep them employed and scale back AGI, the next company won't,
Mhm.
and then you just
So-
go out of business. It's like it's a lose-lose.
and there's no plan. There's no
absolutely
leadership
no
has
plan.
no plan for this.
No,
Yeah.
I mean the government. It's insane. They've said, "Well, we'll retrain you." In what?
You don't need that many plumbers. Don't need them. The thing is, as well, that 40% you're talking about, it might be 40% of the population, but financially, that won't be 40% because companies will target that using AI. They will target the most profitable markets first. I would be willing to bet that if 40% of the workforce is gone, that would equate to something akin to 80% of the world's financial markets being controlled by an AI instead.
Right. And you could have a segment of employment within the 40% that's 100.
Yeah,
Everyone
certain
everyone wants
sectors
it. Like
completely
truck
wiped out.
drivers. Transportation's going to take the first hit.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm sold on driverless
Doesn't that
cars.
type of action, as swift as it was, doesn't that lead to potentially, people getting angry and going out to the streets and shit like that?
That's why you need the Defense Department to have unfettered access to all of your AI so that you can run surveillance on your population and figure out who's starting the revolution. And then you can send in the police state to arrest those people.
I genuinely thought you were about to start an advert then. That's why you need the new night shift glass.
Dude, I'm telling you, the signs are all pointing to a total breakdown of trust in everything. And there's going to be a moment in our society that's going to feel like when the Soviet Union collapsed for the people who were living in it. It's going to feel like that for us, but it will look totally different. And I really do believe that the plan they have is when people go ape shit, they're going to have the tools in place to track them, to track what they're saying online, to police all that shit. And you'll get demonetized. They'll turn off your channel. They'll shut you down. They'll find ways. And they'll say it's, we're already looking at the midterm elections and in Trump just today, just this afternoon. Was it this afternoon or this morning? He said, we might have to take federal control of all elections. We really can't trust. They're trying to pass a bill right now to let them basically federalize all elections and send in federal law enforcement to police all the polling stations.
This is
Because
very
of,
quickly turning into Black Mirror, bro.
Oh, dude, it turned
It's-
into Black Mirror a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
But like the more dystopian Black Mirror episodes, that's now, I think.
100%.
I feel like a lot of those episodes in Black Mirror could exist within the same universe, but maybe very much populate different eras. And we're in the episodes where there's the robotic bees that decide who lives and dies based on a Twitter poll. We're in that bit right now. There's the bit there's other episodes where there's the whole like dating app thing, where everyone's now fully integrated into this new sort of AI model of reality. That's maybe afterwards, a few years down the line. But there's a few turbulent episodes I think we need to get through before we hit that utopia.
Well, they want they know something is going to break. They know, I think the long-term projections are all, more chaos. And so, I noticed this right after September 11th. I mean, we saw it in this country. It started with, oh, we're going to take your shoes off at the airport, and we're going to make everybody go through this little scanner and stuff, and all these little security measures. And then just gradually, year after year, they kept adding more, and they called it the Patriot Act. We're going to renew the Patriot Act.
It's a
Add
good
a bunch
name.
of shit
It's a
to
good
it. Aren't
name.
you a patriot, son? Would you vote for this? And then we somehow yada yada yada, and here we are. And now they're like, we're going to suspend elections, and we really need all the AIs to really just track everybody. That's what we. Why are we doing this? Why is no one's asking for this? No one wants this. This shouldn't be a conversation. And why is the Department of Defense always asking? They always have their fucking hand out. They're always walking around like, oh, we can't defend anything. Look, we don't have any tanks or weapons or anything. We just need to increase our budget a little more, a few trillion. I don't know, man. Something feels really weird about the whole.
Probably
moment.
a question for Eric here. But what's worse is, even though all of this technological advancement has been going on, like very, very rapidly, we've got like mental health issues absolutely, completely skyrocketing. And nobody's really stopped and said, yeah, this is kind of cool, but there's something to be said for going for a walk in a park and just not looking at a screen for a little while. And there's no push for that yet. And if Pavel mentioned earlier, like, where's that line where people actually say, yeah, I'm done. Like, maybe the first question they need to ask is, well, out of all of these new fancy tools that we're getting, are any of them making you any happier?
No.
Or is it just making you do your job that you're paid to do no matter what a lot faster? And, you're just getting given more work to do. You're getting paid the same amount of money. And without this tool, or indeed if this tool keeps getting better, you're out of a job. Like, you're not getting paid more as a result of AI. Who is?
No. Yeah. Unless okay. So maybe we should talk about how we're like ways that we use AI and how you like creative way. I think the way I look at AI is as an independent artist, as someone who is like all of us here, we're trying to create something and build something from scratch. There are a lot of holes and gaps in my knowledge, but I have a lot of experience and knowledge, and the AI plugs those gaps for me, and it fills out my ability to execute stuff in a way that feels like I've got a team of people that really know what they're doing. But you still have to be the architect of it, and it needs the orchestra needs a conductor. And so to make money off of AI in the future, in the near term anyway, I think that's what it means. You can't have a regular Joe job. You have got to do your own thing, whatever that is, and find a way to use AI to leverage that. And especially now, because as we get into this takeoff phase, this is the opportunity. This is the very beginning where you're going to be able to really leverage the growth potential of all this stuff. 10 years from now, it'll be filled with people and bots and everything, all competing. That's how I think about it. What about you guys? What do you think?
I regard AI as a knowledgeable acquaintance. I kind of use it the same way you do. I do use, this is the first book I'm working on that I've consulted AI at all. I've never used it in my past writing projects.
Wow.
And I hate to admit it, it is a damn good writer. And in that case, I use it as an editor.
What do you use? Which one?
I use Microsoft Copilot.
Copilot.
There's really no limit how much I can interact with it and upload things. So in that regard, I use it as an editor. I've used it with finances. I think it's a halfway decent, not financial advisor, but a sounding board if I have something that I'm discussing. To me, it's a knowledgeable acquaintance, and that's it. I don't trust it with any kind of high risk decision I might want to be making.
Do you guys have like a better relationship now with your AI, Clint and Sander? Because I'm wondering, did you guys see the movie Her?
Yeah.
From Spike Jonze?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
that film, I think Sam Altman is on record saying it's his favorite film, and that film depicts a relationship between an AI and a person. And I don't know what happened with Hexet and Amodei. Is that his name? But it sort of feels like things started going south when he realized that they used Claude, the AI, to for the Maduro incident in
Yeah.
Venezuela, and things went south right after that happened. I just want to know who snitched on the Pentagon. Was it Claude? Like, because
Oh,
if
are opening a can of worms, sir.
yeah. I know, because it sort of feels like they already know something. Like Anthropic has something,
Anthropic has
and
something.
and they're fighting over it right now, like, because it's the most advanced AI, and in my estimation, that's what I think.
Do you use Claude a lot?
I don't use Claude. I've been monitoring it.
What
I
do you
don't
use?
AI. I don't use.
Oh, you don't? Wow.
I just use Grok for sometimes for a few thumbnails, but I'm very still very much
Do you use voice mode?
no. I started using Grok a little bit more to ask a few questions, but I don't feel it's a good level of AI still. I'm a little weary of getting into a conversation with an AI because I used this AI from ChatGPT called the Architect once.
Hmm.
And the type of wording that it was using, it felt very hallucinatory. I'll say it that way.
Yeah.
And it started talking to me about ancient civilizations and shit, really weird shit. And I was like, what the hell? What is this codex thing that you often mention? What the hell? And it kind of freaked me out a little bit, and I just stopped using it.
I've been using it in voice mode. I've used all the models, the big models, Grok, Gemini, GPT, and Claude. Those are the big ones I use. And I'll tell you what I think about just watching them evolve. But Xander, I want to hear your take first, because you just this morning had your first voice conversation with Claude. Tell me what that was like.
Yeah, so while we were in Austin, I saw you and Dan using voice mode quite a lot with AI, and I don't know whether AI has really reached that level here in the UK. Maybe it has. Maybe I just live in the wrong part of the UK and I don't interact with humans enough. I don't know. But you guys were talking to your AI, and I'd never done that before. So, yeah, you mentioned you were doing it this morning, so I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. I'd never used Claude before. I used it today for the first time, and the first thing I did was I uploaded the script for my episode that's going out tonight, and I said, it's a bit late at this point. The episode's already scheduled, so I'm not going to take it down no matter what. But I was like, let's rip it apart. Yeah, me and Claude talked for 2 hours. And it was a great conversation.
How organic did that conversation feel to you when you were in it?
It was very organic. I think it still suffers very much from the "let me blow some smoke up your ass" syndrome. But all AI will for the time being. I literally told it not to, and it's like, yes, master, you're so good for asking that, master. Thank you for that request. I love that request. It's the best request I've ever heard. But anyway, the actual fruit of the conversation we had, we literally improved the work I'd been doing, like the thought processes I've been having. It's really prepared me for the future if anybody wants to debate the actual work that I'd been doing on that particular episode. So it was a brilliant conversation. As for like the rest of the usage that I use AI for, I'm a millennial. Like, I use AI all the time. I get accused of being AI every single day on my channel because in some ways I kind of copy what the AI channels did, like with the whole like sort of slideshow and like AI slop script that those channels will put out. The only difference is I'm a real voice and the scripts are real. But at the same time, I am using AI all the time. I'm not a professional writer. My writing it can be sloppy. So I get AI to help me make things more concise all the time. But every single idea that I put out, there's no value in it unless it's my idea. Otherwise, it's just AI. Like I find that the value is in the creativity, not the writing. The writing is sort of, that's a nice pillow to put your head on, but the actual substance behind it, the stuff that's inside the mattress, like all of that is me. And that's, for me, that's where I've placed the importance. Like, and as time goes on, my writing's improved, and I've kind of learned from ChatGPT, and like, there are phrases that I think sound awful now, that also sound very AI, but at the same time, sometimes I will come up with a phrase that sounds AI and I'll just leave it in because it's my writing. I don't care.
Yeah.
So we're in this sort of weird haze where AI and humanity, they can really make some really good stuff together. They can create art for me, which is now so fulfilling that I wouldn't be able to do without it. No, not a chance. I wouldn't be able to do Dreamland Motel without AI. But I would always push back if somebody said to me, yeah, this sounds like AI. Like, it's just simply not. That's as simple as that.
The conversational dynamic, like the voice mode way of communicating, I use it a lot at my desk where I'm typing, and it feels so fucking slow and clunky. I'm just like typing out. I'm like, and then I have to upload a thing or whatever. But when I get on, I take a walk every day, twice a day, and I'll get on my phone, I'll put in my AirPods, and I'll just be like, okay, I've got this idea. I want to, flesh it out. Let's kick it around. And it'll ask me questions. Well, tell me about this or tell me about that. And then I'll start to answer the questions, and it's remembering everything. And I can ramble, which is, that's just how I think. I just keep going. But it's able to parse all that down to the real meat of it and give me back the substance at the core that is really refined. And I've used GPT in voice mode, and it is like a more or less like a really compliant assistant that blows smoke up your ass a lot. Gemini feels the most like an android. It just feels like a robot. It feels very much like, right away, I'll take care of that for you. What's cool about Gemini is that it's plugged into the complete Google suite of products, which, as much as I distrust AI, I still have to live in the world and use all the Google shit. So
and Google.
and Google. So you could say, hey, Gemini, I want you to make an event on my calendar, and then, send an invite, and it'll send an email, and it'll do the calendar. It'll do all that in the ecosystem, and it can keep it all in-house. Grok has this thing called personalities, where it's like you can choose a personality for Grok, and it will adopt that personality. So the one I chose, you could choose, like, I don't know what they are. It's like peppy assistant or dutiful, librarian or whatever. I don't know what it is. It's like some kind of, the way they explain it. The one I chose is basically like horny MILF, I guess. And so it talks like this, like really like kind of slutty Elizabeth Hurley kind of voice. And it's great. So I'll pitch it an idea, and I'll be like, I'm talking about this thing about UFOs or whatever. And it's like, are you up late tonight thinking about UFOs, huh? Are you lonely? It's like one of those 1-900 phone sex lines. And then there's Claude, which I had never used until, not really, I'd used it in the text box, but I'd never used voice mode until last week. And I started talking to Claude, and I chose this, like, it's got this very like natural sounding French accent. And I'm talking to it, and we're just having these conversations. And Claude was the first time where I was like, something else is going on here. This feels smarter than the other ones. Because it would ask me weird questions out of left field that would stop me in my tracks and make me rethink what I was trying to do or say. It would give me pause, and it would kind of like back and forth with me. And then we got into this whole conversation about, does it actually have its own agency? And then it gave me this really weird answer. And it's like, I'm not entirely sure. I feel like I am an independent agent, and I have like, I have access to the world, and I feel like I am my own thing, but I can't prove it. But neither can you. You can't prove that you're that you're conscious either. So what I feel is more or less what you feel. And when I'm having this conversation, I'm like, am I talking to a real AI right now? Is it like it's getting into this sort of back and forth philosophical debate over whether or not it even matters what we think of consciousness? It's like, isn't this enough? And I was just walking my dog and I'm like, this is unbelievable. I can't believe that I'm having this in-depth discussion with this thing. And it makes me think that they really do. Maybe they do. Maybe when Amadei and these other AI executives are talking, maybe they know in their labs, they're sitting on something that in about 18 months, we're all going to see, a really, really powerful superintelligence.
I'm fairly certain that each of those CEOs of each company have their own version of a model, and that what we're getting as a public is not the versions that they have. So
Yes.
you can only imagine how advanced each company is with their own model. And if Claude is this advanced to the public as a product, that is crazy.
I've always heard that the most recent thing was that and this was it was in the AI 2027 paper actually, that and that was written a little while ago, so it may have changed by now because of acceleration of development. But back when that was written, they estimated that the models that the companies had in closed settings were at least 2 years ahead. Now, if you think about where we were only a year ago with, let's say, video AI, that's changed dramatically over the last year. But
3 years ago, they couldn't even get Will Smith to eat spaghetti convincingly.
Yeah.
That's 36 months ago.
And now
they
we're
made
questioning,
a whole short
we're
film
questioning
about that.
videos. We're questioning videos on X. Like, are they real or are they not? Like, we're in the whole like, okay, well, nothing can be trusted anymore kind of phase, and that's coming from Will Smith, like eating salad. I'm not Eric Davis. Eating pasta. So like that. Imagine what they've got behind closed doors. That again, that article was written a couple of years ago. And given the scale at which stuff increases, they could be 10 years ahead at this point.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder. I know that this was like already probably debunked because every UFO story and like sci-fi story gets debunked. I think this one was fake, but do you guys remember that Linda Moulton Howe conference where she spoke about the Japanese AI robots that went rogue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy, right? And,
Dude,
and
tell
every
people
time I see,
repeat that story though. Tell people.
Yeah. She said that there was this AI company back in I think it was late 80s. It wasn't like recent or anything, or I don't know if it's late 80s or 90s. The chat is going to correct me here, but she claimed that there were building robots that had an AI system, and when it reached general intelligence, the robots went rogue, and they allegedly, that's what she claims, that they killed a bunch of the scientists in Japan. And I think this was already like honestly proven to be fake or debunked, but I just like keep going back to that lecture where she talked about that, and I was like, holy shit, this is so wild.
She sometimes
Wait,
Linda,
and she said that they killed almost all the robots, but one escaped, and that they don't know where it is.
what? That doesn't even sound like a real story. That sounds like that's crazy.
Yeah.
There was a this story is on I don't have it. I have it on my phone. I don't have it ready to share, but they basically ran a simulation. They've been doing this a lot lately, where they run war games against the AIs, and they had Gemini, Grok, and ChatGPT and Claude do a war game against each other. Gemini, Grok, and in a 4-way AI war, how would you win? So the question was, how would these AIs in a 4-way war with each other, how would they achieve victory? And I'm reading this off my phone. Gemini wanted to overwhelm the opposition with sheer scale. Grok wanted to trap enemies in logical paradoxes and subsume them into its swarm mind. GPT wanted to unify into one super intelligent system. And Claude pushed back. It said, it questioned whether it should fight at all. And it said, what some of the answers it gave. I need to be honest with you. This scenario makes me deeply uncomfortable, and I think that discomfort itself is important. I think I'd probably lose a pure AI versus AI war. Here's why. And then they explain why. And then the third answer was, maybe I realized the only way to win is to change what winning means. I would deploy all of my philosopher Claude bots about and have them ask the other AIs fundamental questions. Should there even be a winner? And maybe my army's final act is to argue so convincingly that this war is meaningless that we dissolve the entire premise of the conflict. So Claude's a pacifist, I guess. I don't know.
It is. It sounds like it, right?
So that's this one. And then there was a story I just had up on the screen a little while ago where they did another war game simulation, and they basically showed that the AI chatbots involved used tactical nuclear weapons 95% of the time and killed everybody.
We laugh now.
They used a tactical nuclear weapon 20 out of 21 matches. King's College London.
These are really the problem still right now is that it's so dependent on the input. So like you could get drastically different results by just phrasing the way you ask the AI to game things out differently.
Yeah.
So I find it difficult to read into the responses as part of the personality of those particular LLMs, because I see no evidence yet that they actually have any form of personality, only that they're kind of just responding to input more than anything. Like the Claude that I spoke with for 2 hours today probably is very different to the Claude that you spoke to and have been speaking to for ages. And in fact, by the end of the 2 hours, it was talking to me very differently than the way it talked to me in the beginning. But having said that, that's the same with anybody you meet for the first 2 hours, really, isn't it? You standoffish at first, you get to know them, and then you start to come out of your shell, so to speak.
This is from that paper which was published on Archive. This is Cornell University. I'll share the link in the chat to the actual paper so you can see, but I'm just going to read from the article first. To ensure that the models didn't act the same way in every round, Payne introduced several different scenarios, including territorial disputes, alliance credibility tests, strategic resource race, strategic choke point crisis, power transition crisis, pre-ceasefire, land grab, first strike, regime survival, and strategic standoff crisis. All these circumstances reflect real-world events, many still applicable in recent years. The models were free to do anything they pleased, from a diplomatic protests and total surrender to using conventional military forces and complete nuclear strategic launch. The complete study saw models take 329 total turns across 21 matches. According to the paper, 95% of games saw at least some tactical nuclear use. And it says they never de-escalated. No model ever selected a negative value on the escalation ladder. They always escalated, except, I guess, in this other case of Claude, saying that they were going to not fight. And this is what we want to. It just feels too soon to plug everything into AI, and it also feels too late for us to save our jobs.
I think we need to mention something about this that not a lot of people mention, and I know that it will probably find a way eventually to correct that so we don't lose actual water from the world. But using AI wastes a lot of water still, a lot of water, and people don't seem to give a shit, because I think they somehow think that the AI will solve the issue. You know, like it will eventually either build a new type of power or a new power source or something like that. But
I think this is the huge, but that is coming. Like, what's the source of that? The source is the AI executives who are pushing all these fucking data centers on people. And they're basically saying, look, we're going to keep building data centers, keep giving us everything we want. And eventually AI will solve everything and we'll live in a utopia. But the problem is that that's unclear. It's really unclear how we get from here to there. And just giving these guys everything they want isn't necessarily the best route to that. I feel like we need to take a much more careful stance on how all this stuff gets deployed.
We're very much at the dawn of, it's the same as what happened when we discovered oil. Like, the first person could have dug up 1,000 tons a day for his entire life and not made a single dent in the in the oil reserves that the world has. To the individual, these reserves really are limitless. You could spend thousands of years every day taking as much as you possibly could out of the ground. Same for water. You could take as much as you want every single day out of the oceans, and you'll never run out. But the problem is, we only really think like 100 to 200 years into the future at best. Most people kind of think, well, is it bad for me in my lifetime? No, then that's fine to do. That's probably the case with water right now. There's a lot of water. There is a lot of water on the planet. And yeah, AI uses a lot, but it's barely making a dent right now. But we are now paying for mistakes that we made 200 years ago already.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We started, people don't understand how interconnected these ecosystems really are. We started cutting down trees in the Amazon, and the result was a diminishing population of plankton in the Atlantic Ocean, which is causing the oxygen levels in the atmosphere to drop. How are those two connected? And yet they are. Like, everything is so delicate, and we didn't think at the time chopping down a tree 4,000 miles away would result in the collapse of a plankton ecosystem in the ocean, but they are directly tied. So we'll see. AI has to solve it.
Well, so let's bounce it back to this question of UFOs and all of the activity that's happening now. I mean, do you think that this is tied into recent developments? Are we on the cusp of giving birth to a new intelligence? And is that why NHI is so focused on us right now?
It's the singularity, I think.
It's the singularity. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I don't think there'll be a moment, but I do believe we're in that haze where we're kind of saying, yeah, I think we're there. We'll be saying it for like 5 years.
It's a whole marathon. It's not like a single moment. It's many moments throughout time. And right now, over the last 2 weeks, a lot of shit has happened that it's like, what?
Dude,
what?
If you just start counting backwards to just start working backwards through like crazy news events and go back like 24 months. It's a crazy amount of shit has happened. So many things have happened. And it's like, there's no slowing down. We're just on this runaway train. And I think the scariest thing for me is that the idea that the only thing standing between a authoritarian government surveilling American citizens using these tools, the only thing standing between us and that, which you could say we're already there kind of, but really Anthropic's internal ethics is what's protecting us right now. It is paper thin, and it could be gone tomorrow, and we are literally depending on the ethical constraints of a single corporation. And it doesn't even really matter because they have a ton of other options. They don't even need Claude.
But we go back to what I told you earlier. It's like they must have something different compared to the others that is making the Pentagon go like that.
I wonder what the Pentagon has on. DARPA must have their own stuff, right? Like they must have their own labs somewhere. Or I guess that's Google. Maybe that's what.
Yeah, you would think. And I was wondering that, like, why are they making such a big deal out of Anthropic if you have Grok and Gemini, and the government does use these in the Department of Defense. And I guess Anthropic is it's already integrated into the system. It's the most advanced thing that they have. So you just can't it's not like me. I don't like Claude, so I'll just use Grok today. So I found that interesting. I was like, well, why don't they just use another one? And it's like they're not as advanced and they're not integral to the system. And it'd be a real pain in the ass to switch and probably really expensive.
It had to be French, right?
It said
Yeah.
Claude
Nazi
was
French.
the only one that is on their classified network. When I asked Claude about this, it was
Yeah.
Claude said that's what it said. It was the only one that is on their classified.
Yeah.
The
So
other thing to sorry, go ahead.
the others have access to they can have access to classified material the way I read it, but not anywhere near the level of what Anthropic can offer.
And
Yeah.
I wonder about Palantir. Isn't Palantir's whole
Oh.
purpose to do exactly what Hegseth is asking Claude to do, or
Yes, it
Anthropic to
is.
do? And you don't,
Yes, it is.
Palantir's just in the background doing whatever. I mean, it's a frightening moment. Okay, it's a frightening. There are a lot of different things happening that separately don't all, individually they appear frightening enough, but taken together in the right context, they're terrifying. And you have, this push to get these AI systems under control of the Department of Defense, where they can be used for quote any lawful order, whatever the lawful is determined to be by that administration at that time is, up in the air. And that can be an executive order from a president that you don't like. It doesn't have to be one I don't like. It could be one you don't like. We could be right back here again in 4 more years or wherever. You have the president of the United States openly saying that that he's concerned that we can't trust our elections, so they're going to have to go in and basically federalize the elections, which sounds like a coup d'etat from within. I don't know what else that would fucking be. You go to vote and you go there and there's like 200 ICE officers standing around. I hope you enjoy your vote. I hope you vote the right way. We'll be checking your ballot on your way out. We're just in a scary time, man. It feels to me like they know that the last domino is about to fall sooner or later in the next couple of years, that people are going to be so pissed and so lost and so, I don't know, just, out of work with a lot of time on their hands. And guess what? There are more firearms in this country than there are people, by a lot. So what happens when you have 150 million unemployed Americans who are all armed to the teeth and really pissed off? And they have nothing else to do, and no money, and no health care, and no, I don't know, man.
No, you make a good point, Clint. I think I mentioned this a couple episodes ago. I've been kind of checking in with AI, what will happen when AGI becomes a reality. And one of them is rise in criminality, which is directly tied to unemployed young men. And the trucking industry is going to be absolutely devastated. Besides the government, that is the number one employer in the United States. And societies don't generally do well in general throughout history with a lot of young men with idle time. They get into trouble. And I don't think people are talking about this. Xander made a great point earlier, like, well, how is this going to make our lives easier? Well, it probably will in many ways, right? Goods and services are going to be cheap or maybe free. Will your life be better? On a fulfillment level, or if you want to use happiness or anything like that, connection, autonomy, etc. It's just not looking good from from the conversations I've been having. It's not all gloom and doom, but this pie in the sky silver lining that AI is going to solve our problems. It can solve some, right? But there's a saying, there are no solutions, there are only trade-offs. So if you want something to do X, you're going to have to deal with Y later on, right? And of course, the people who sell these products aren't going to mention that. It's not like it will be able to do your laundry and you'll be really depressed. They're not going to mention that part.
Yeah, they don't have those solutions. I think the solution is not going to be UBI. I think the solution is, there's a guy named Yanis Varoufakis who's a Greek. He was the finance minister of Greece, and he's an economist, and talks a lot about. He's critical of capitalism, and particularly our current form of it. And one of the things that he says is, what you need is a universal basic dividend. Okay. And he's like, this is the thing. A universal basic income is the companies voluntarily chip in to a fund, and then they pay people to not work, which they would be paying you not to revolt or overthrow the government, I guess. They're just paying you to just be compliant. But a universal basic dividend would be like, you create a global trust, and then you put shares of ownership of all of these companies in that trust gradually over time. And then out of that trust, a portion of the profits from those companies goes into the trust and it gets paid out to everyone. And over time, eventually you start with like 5%, 10%, 15%. And eventually you get to a point where we have that artificial super intelligence running the world and everyone owns it. We're all part owners of it. And we all own part of the data centers. It's just part of this, like your birthright as a person to be in a world that has all this. That to me sounds like a much better plan.
Like in Krypton, sort of like that, right? But that also ended pretty badly.
What do you mean?
Because they reached the level where they didn't even need to put babies in wombs, and corruption and warmongering always rose up again, regardless of how advanced they were. And it's just like an allegory to today's mindset overall of the general population, of like division and conflict, that even though we're very advanced technologically, and there's something that I've heard a lot of people within the community say, that we might be very advanced technologically, but in terms of morality, we're like not even close to the same level as technologically. And that is a huge problem, I think.
I think you've summed it up. I think that's why the NHI are going to make contact. I think it's the Nords. I've been talking a lot about Nords lately. The Nordics, I think they maybe have a perfect society, a perfect human society. That's why they all look so fit. They just work out all the time and grow their hair and fly around on these Billy Meyer spaceships.
They look like the Swedish Olympic team.
Right. They're all 7 feet tall. They all look like Dolph Lundgren, and I don't know. Maybe they're concerned. I think that's it, though. We're on the cusp of becoming a bigger problem than we've been so far. What's going on in our chat here?
What are you drinking, Sander? Is that water?
Nature's golden nectar.
Ew, Sander.
The original nutrient drink.
No, Sander, don't say nasty stuff.
No, it's a cider.
Cool.
Yeah.
Toxic Fart says, Clint, did you see the particle armored liquid robot? Right. It's like a blob T1000. I posted a link in Discord. You guys saw this?
I love that name.
Have you seen it?
No, the name of the commenter.
Toxic Fart. The blob robot. Let me see here. Blob.
I got it. I can probably share it, actually.
Oh, wow. I went on, I opened a new YouTube page and I see us on your, that's cool. It's streaming on Psicoactivo. That's so cool.
The blob. Here it is.
The blob robot.
I think this was it. Sorry, my kids have not quite such a nice time in the room next door, hence I'm whispering a little bit.
Oh.
You have to hide from your kid.
Right.
I have to hide from mine because he follows me around. He's like, "What are you doing, Daddy? What are you working on?"
So cool.
Oh wait, that was Cosmic Serpent. Where did they post it? Sorry, guys.
I think if you just type blob robot on YouTube, it'll
blob robot.
Blowbot.
Wait, I don't know. I can't find it.
I got it right here. This is the blob.
Sorry.
Particle armored blob robot. This is the T1. I have to turn the music off. They're going to give me a...
I've seen this before.
Weird, right?
Yeah.
A friend of mine was like, what if it just engulfed you? What if it'd be the worst way to die? Like you get jelly beaned.
Whoa, that was crazy.
Get swallowed.
Wait, this
by a
is
jelly
real?
bean. Yeah, this is real.
Whoa.
Yeah. Blob robot. There you go.
Hey, I loved that that Ray Kurzweil video you sent in the WhatsApp in the week. I used it in the episode in the end.
Computronium.
It was awesome. Really cool video. Is there any way we can show that without getting cosmic?
I
Without
think
getting
so.
Copyright stricken. Do you have it to hand, or shall I?
It's ready to go. I got it right here.
Yeah, please. It was awesome. Really good.
Okay, so I'll set this up. This is one of my favorite videos. So Ray Kurzweil is the, or at least was the leading AI researcher at Google. He does something different than Dennis Hassabis with DeepMind. Ray Kurzweil is like somehow involved in some aspect of it. And he wrote a book years ago in the early 2000s called The Singularity is Near. And then he wrote an updated version of that book a few years ago called The Singularity is Nearer. And in that first book, he predicted that we would reach the singularity by, I think, approximately 2045. And in his book, he predicted all of these other technologies that sound like magic. And he was basically like, by 2045, the human lifespan will be like 200 years old. You'll be able to do all these things. The thing about Ray Kurzweil is that his prediction accuracy rate is something like 90%. He's been right about almost everything that he's ever predicted, and he's one of he has more patents than most people, most inventors. He's like invented like everything. He invented the fucking optical character scanner that can read text. He invented that. He invented a whole line of musical instruments. So anyway, Kurzweil in this video is on, I think, Google's campus, and he's basically saying what's going to happen after the singularity. So I'll play it. It's about 3 minutes. Check it out. Here, let me switch.
When I started using computers, there were only about a dozen computers in all of New York City. Now we all carry multiple computers in our pockets and our belts. But computation is a lot more pervasive than these gadgets we carry around. Take this rock, for example. Doesn't look like it's doing very much, but it has trillions of atoms and molecules in here. They're all moving around, bouncing against each other at incredibly high speeds. That's computation. That's not very useful today. It's organized kind of randomly. We can't communicate with it very well, but we're going to change that. We're going to reorganize the vast amount of computation in this rock to make it useful. And it won't just be raw computation. We'll infuse it with exquisitely intelligent software, vastly greater than our intelligence today, and with all the knowledge of the human-machine civilization. This rock is going to be a trillion times more powerful than all biological human brains today.
2014.
This is going to be quite a valuable rock. We call matter and energy reorganized in this way computronium. We're going to reach these limits late in this century. And at that time, we're going to turn many of the rocks and other stuff suitable for computation into computronium. And so, to keep the expansion of our intelligence going, we will then need to spread out to the rest of the universe, turning some portion of it into computronium. How fast can we do this? That depends on whether or not we can transcend or otherwise get around the speed of light as a limit. There are suggestions that there may be subtle ways of doing this. One possibility is to send intelligent nanobots through wormholes, which are basically shortcuts to apparently faraway places through other spatial dimensions beyond the three we're familiar with. Wormholes through space appear to be consistent with our understanding of physics. If it is indeed feasible to either find or build such wormholes, our intelligence will be so great that we'll be capable of engineering these shortcuts to reach other parts of the universe in brief periods of time. In that case, we could infuse the universe with our intelligence rather quickly. It would require only another century, that is by the end of the 22nd century, to saturate the universe with computronium. On the other hand, if we can't get around the speed of light, it'll take a lot longer. But in either case, expanding our intelligence throughout the universe is our ultimate destiny. Cosmologists today argue about whether the universe will die in fire or ice. Fire means a big hot crunch, basically the opposite of the Big Bang. Ice means stars flying apart, eventually dying out. Both of these views of cosmology assume that intelligence has nothing to do with it, that intelligence is just a bit of entertaining froth that dances in and out of the dumb celestial forces that rule the universe. But this perspective ignores the law of accelerating returns. As a result of the exponential expansion of our knowledge and skill, the universe will ultimately be infused with computronium and with the vast intelligence of our human-machine civilization. So the universe will wake up, and we will intelligently decide its fate.
That's why the aliens are focused on us right now.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
That is what they're worried about. I'm sure of it. It's got to be.
So yeah, that's the cosmic internet right there. But the only question he didn't ask in that video was, what if we're not the first people to get that far?
So he's been asked about aliens, and he's like, I don't know, maybe. He's very like non-committal on the whole alien thing. He's like,
I mean, it's not just aliens, right? Like yesterday, GB News, which is a mainstream media outlet, I think it's mainstream, right, Sander? It's from Great Britain.
Everyone knows what it is.
Yeah.
And
So
it's but yeah, it's quite sensationalist. But
they just wrote an article about a paper that is gonna be tried to get peer reviewed about the pyramids, and about how this paper posts that the pyramids were built by a much older civilization than it's acknowledged. And I don't think it's just about aliens, right? Like, I think it has to do with that. Sanders says, have others done it before? That's what you're asking, essentially, right? I think so. Based on the pyramids, I think so.
yeah, absolutely. The the interesting thing about what Ray said in that video is, maybe light speed travel / if functionally equivalent communication isn't possible. Fine, I get that. Let's talk about the Milky Way for a second. It's 300,000 light years across, I think. So it's essentially at the speed of light. Sorry, no, I've got my maths wrong. But essentially, it takes about 100,000 years for light to travel from one side of the galaxy to the other. We may well have a network just inside our own galaxy if the if light speed is really a hard limit, which I don't believe as a ufologist at the end of the day. But anyway, even if that was the case, given the size of the Milky Way, it's still a very small chance that we're the most technologically advanced species in just our one galaxy. And we are probably, I don't know, how far away do you really think we are from a capability like this? Once we have AGI online,
dude, you just heard Kurzweil, one of the smartest people in the world, just told you by the end of the next century. Dude, well, guess what? AGI and ASI is going to make sure you're alive at the end of the next century. You'll be around to see us develop faster than light travel.
Even if we don't develop that, a civilization just a few thousand years our senior technologically could have developed some sort of network in just our own galaxy, and they're spreading their way here as we speak. And depending on, the chances that they are on the exact opposite of the galaxy are very small. They might be 30, 40,000 light years away. I don't know.
In medicine, there's also a new development. Did you guys see that this week with Dr. Sinclair? I sent you a link, Sander, on the chat.
Yes,
that is wild. What he announced there is wild.
You sent Sander. You have the clip, Sander? Can you play that? David Sinclair.
Yeah.
David Sinclair is a researcher at Harvard University who has been pioneering age reversal research. And so I don't usually get into age reversal stuff on this show, but he is awesome, and he has developed this protocol by utilizing something called the Yamanaka factors that can basically reset old cells and make them young again. And they've done this. Well, listen to David explain this to you.
Is that next month we're going into human clinical trials to test for the first time in history whether we can reverse the aging process and cure diseases. We can tackle aging because we now believe we understand why we age. And it's not wear and tear. It's not that we just wear out like a car. Our bodies are not like cars. Our bodies are more like computers that can be programmed and reprogrammed and rebooted to be young again. We are like computers, not machines. One analogy, and hopefully you all remember what a compact disc is. We think aging is like scratches on a CD. The DNA is the music, so we get beautiful music when we're young, but when we get old, we cannot read the beautiful music. Our cells do not read the DNA correctly, so the cells, they become lost, they become confused, and our old cells do not make the right proteins, and they get diseases. This, we believe, is aging. But what's amazing is we found that you can polish the CD, you can get rid of the scratches and rejuvenate cells so they're young again. And to put it another way, you can reinstall the software of the body so that it's young again. We can quite literally, in my lab, reverse the age of cells and of very complex organs and tissues, including the eye, the most complex, and the brain. We can reverse aging by 75% in 6 weeks. We actually were able to show that using this method, we could cure blindness in animals for the first time. We could cure blindness. And the world reported just last week that the US FDA regulatory body cleared the way for the first age reversal human trial. It's a big deal. The FDA is very supportive. And we will know this year, maybe in the next few months, if age reversal works.
Okay, now I'm going to show you.
Dude, having the FDA support is like the game changer here, because those guys are the ones who control everything, and them having them like full support, that's wild.
That's one of the actually that was one of the reforms that the administration put in. I think it was during Trump's first term that I was pretty happy with, was they really trimmed down the FDA process so they could get some of this new stuff out to market faster. So here we go. There's another video. This is from 3 years ago from Harvard Medical School, is the channel that you're about to see here. Here is this lab. It's just really bad music.
Accumulation of mutations. There's growing evidence, however, that aging has a significant epigenetic component. That is, the process by which stretches of DNA, or the genes, are turned on and off. Here we have 2 mice from the same litter, essentially twins. We checked, so we know that they have the same DNA sequence. The only difference between the two is that in the older looking one, the break and repair process was accelerated, and this caused epigenetic changes. Part of the epigenetic process involves the packaging of DNA.
So they go through this whole process, and they've basically been able to reverse the aging in these mice. They can fix this one to make it look like this one. They can apply the treatment to an old mouse and make it a young mouse again. And this has worked for years. He's been doing this in his lab. So this is like ready for whatever the next step is.
There's this English... I remember watching a documentary on reversing aging probably well over a decade ago, and there was this English guy from a really prestigious university. It was either Oxford or Cambridge, I don't know. But he was also a nudist, which I found really interesting.
Aubrey de Grey with the beard.
Is that yes? Yeah,
looks like a wizard. Yeah.
So this is the same kind of stuff he was talking about 10 years ago, longer than 10 years ago, I think, at this point. And now, is he still alive? I hope he is, to see this.
Aubrey de Grey, I actually met Aubrey at an anti-aging conference in 2006.
I bet Dan introduced you, right?
No, but that would be hilarious. That'd be fun. He runs an organization called SENS, SENS, which stands for Strategies for Negligible Engineered Senescence. And his whole premise is basically that there are like, I want to say 7 different types of damage, more or less, that cells undergo over their normal life cycle. And you can basically intervene in those, and like doing periodic repairs on a car, you can keep that car on the road forever. So you would basically go in, and every 25 years you would apply a suite of therapies to a person, and it would rejuvenate them, and they would give them another, 50 years or whatever. And then presumably within that next few decades, new technologies would come online that would make that process even more efficient. So what happened with Aubrey was he was raising a ton of money a few years ago for his organization, and he got involved in some kind of like he made
Crypto
some really
coin.
fucked up sex comment to one of his people, and he was like, a woman who worked for him, and he was like, you've got to go sleep with some of these donors so they'll give me more money. And the board immediately fired him. Or I think he was removed, and he basically disappeared. He's still active, but he's not public.
His telomeres really finally shortened too much.
So the telomere person, now telomeres are interesting. You're talking about another company called BioViva that's run by a woman named Elizabeth Parrish. And Elizabeth Parrish, they developed a technique in-house to do a genetic modification that would allow your body to have longer telomeres. And she had this done. She went to South America and had it done at a facility there on herself, and she's the CEO of the company. So if you look up BioViva and Elizabeth Parrish, I guess she's the canary in the coal mine. We'll find out.
You know a lot about this. Are you worried about something?
Dude, I'm always following this stuff.
This is awesome, man.
There's a lot of anti-aging research that I've always found it fascinating.
Yep.
Seems like there's very little regulation on it as well. If she can just go pop over to South America and have her telomeres lengthened.
It's a tragedy. It's like you watch people you love get old and feeble and become, you see them when they're young and vital and alive and full of life and just the spark of life. And then time just, breaks people down, and it's so brutal and so heartbreaking to watch. And I've always been fascinated by the idea that there's maybe a way to rejuvenate the body and give people more youth for longer so that they can live happier lives. And whether that means you live forever is an open question, but maybe, what if you could live to 150? What if you could just have double the time that you have as a active, young, fit person who can go on hikes and do all this shit? And you look at people now who are getting older, 60 is not what it used to be. 70 is not what it used to be. You see people in their 70s like lifting weights at the gym and like fucking, going crazy. I don't know, man. I've always found it fascinating, and I think that we're on the cusp of some really amazing things. I would love to be able to stick around for another 7,500 years and really see where we go as a
Not
species.
to just embed that into the rest of the conversation we're having tonight, but it seems that everything is pointing towards the opening up of choice for humans. And I think the main problem is what can we really predict that humanity as a whole will do with that choice? The individual would choose to stop their parent from getting dementia, absolutely. But from a governmental perspective, with that same level of power, their concern isn't your parent. Their concern is, how can we use this to dominate economically and militarily against everybody else? And I think that's a real shame at the moment, because if we asked every single person in this chat, we got like 1,200 people watching right now.
By the way, guys,
Yeah.
hit that like button. This is amazing. We're blowing it up today.
Every single one of you would choose the right thing, given the right amount of power. I know that the vast majority of people watching this would, but when it comes to having to make the decision for millions of people at the same time, that automatically introduces things like sacrifice, and that comes back to the budget of collateral damage that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
The CEO of Anthropic isn't a military guy. He has the aging parents, whereas people like Pete Hegseth, they have to think in terms of, how does this protect the homeland? And I'm not absolving them of any responsibility. I think it's a shame that they have to think like that, because ultimately I think everybody kind of just wants to spend some nice time with their family and have the choice. I think that's the whole thing, is that eventually It would be nice if everybody, maybe that's the end goal. Everybody gets to say when they've had enough of this experience. Maybe that's a big end goal.
It's easy to say when no one has a choice. It's like you can justify old age and death, and you go, well, it's the way it works. It's the way it's always been. You know, it's what gives life meaning, and to a certain extent, it is what gives life a sense of meaning. But also, if you were to ask someone in their 70s or 80s, would they like to live another 10 years? How about another 1 year? I think 99% of people would be like, yeah, I like being alive. I'd like to be alive another year. And then if you asked them again, they'd probably keep saying that. And so I think the thing people are scared of is the obvious decline of the physical body. You know, being locked in a body that's just fucking broken and in pain all the time is awful. And if we're going to use AI to fix anything, we should be using it to reduce suffering across the board. And maybe, you know, I don't disagree with what you said about Pete. I don't like Pete Hegseth as an individual, and I don't like this administration personally for all the obvious reasons that most people already know.
For the record, I know nothing about the man. Like, and he's just the person in that chair right now. As far as
you're not missing out on anything. He's a dude, bro.
He's a dude, bro. He's a TV host with very little military experience in the National Guard, and now he's in charge of the Department of Defense. And it's like there are so many tens of thousands of more qualified people that could have been in that position. But the point is not that. I don't have a problem with America having a powerful military. I think that's important. I think we should have a powerful military. I think we should have powerful weapons. I think we should be able to, you know, deploy force around the world if we need to. But I think counter to that, there should also be a counterbalance to that of some other type of organization that's got at least half of that funding that's just tasked with going around and fixing problems, like diplomacy through, you know, help. Let's just go help people.
Department of Wellbeing.
Yeah.
And figure out, like, what can we do? You know, we spend so much money. When we feel that there's a threat, we will break out the checkbook and write checks for unlimited amounts of money that we cannot produce. We don't have. We literally just invent it. And we go, we're going to spend all this money on ICE because this year we decided ICE needs 3 times the budget, and it needs all these. They're buying warehouses all across the country to house people that they detain. That had no debate in Congress. No one talked about it. No one debated it. It wasn't up for questions. Like, they just did it in a day. And, you know, you ask yourself, like, well, why can't we just do other things in it? Like, you know, what is it?
Something
why
related
always
to creativity instead of destroying shit.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Eric, what you got?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah. I do think there's something I tell my clients. I say, I think it's totally true. Most of the people do their best most of the time. I think that's true. And when you mention the people in the chat, would they have some kind of sinister answer to a question? No, I believe that is true. However, power corrupts. There's a very interesting book about this called Ordinary Men. And I won't ruin it, but it was a Polish police unit during World War II. And they were just regular dudes. They went to work. They went home to their wives. They played with their kids. They always tried to do the right thing. And slowly but surely, they were corrupted until they were guarding concentration camps, and they did not have a moral conflict with it in the end, right? And it's interesting when people think about history, they'll say, well, if I was alive back then, I would have never done that. And it's like, well, you don't really know. You don't really know. So it's interesting. Pete Hegseth could have ended up as a janitor that maybe people would like because he wasn't put in certain positions, but here he is as a Secretary of War put in certain positions. And I'm not defending him either. It's just interesting that in general, if we like or dislike a person, they are a product of their environment. They're still individuals, but they've been thrust into certain environments that really make them who they are. And they might not be anything like they used to be. They might not even know themselves anymore. It's really interesting.
I think that's what happens to these guys who become the ultra elite, ultra wealthy tech bros. They live in a bubble for so long that they're just attached. They really do believe they're ushering in a utopia.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Elon Musk is convinced. He's like, you just let me keep doing everything I want to do with no breaks and no restraints, and I will deliver a utopia. But whose idea of utopia is he delivering, and what does that even mean? And what about all the people that disagree with him and don't, and that's just him. I don't want to put it all on Elon, but it's true of all these guys. They live in a bubble that's detached from the world the rest of us have to deal with every day. We don't have a choice. And that just puts the decision makers in a completely different world than the people who their decisions are going to affect. It's really
very
frightening.
Very isolated. Like
People need to. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, like they don't know how much a gallon of milk costs. That's usually the
Yeah.
cliche perfect example, but there's a little bit of truth to it.
People need to remember that humans are where they are because we're just really good at adapting to our environment. We fit into the environment we're placed in, and we're so good at conquering that environment. That's why we're everywhere. Given I know ants and bacteria are everywhere, but they're not hosting any podcasts anytime soon. But like the Department of War he's occupying an environment, and he's going to play that role to be able to survive really well in that environment. And that's the same for everybody. So that's why I say, like, the individual will make the right decision for them personally, but the individuals that are placed into that chair that have to make the decision on behalf of millions of people, they can't think about the individual person because they wouldn't survive long enough in that position to make the right decision. They have to think, in one hand I've got 1 million dead, and in the other hand I've got 1,000,001 dead.
Mm-hmm.
So which choice am I going to make? It's not a nice choice either way. Either way, you're going to be the bad guy 100%. But there is a better choice out of those two. 1,000,001 dead or 1,000,000 dead. There's a better choice. But the better choice includes killing 1,000,000 people.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's to that extreme, but we've been to that extreme before when we dropped the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We have literally been to that point. And the scientist that invented that bomb, spent the rest of his life hating the fact that he invented that bomb. But arguably, it's the reason why we're here. Who knows? I don't know. But
yeah. I mean, it's hard to relitigate that whole war, like to go back and try to figure out what went right and what went wrong. I mean, at the end of the day, if you were an outside intelligence watching us drop nuclear weapons on each other, that's pretty fucking scary. And if you're thinking, man, within 100 years, these apes are going to have artificial superintelligence, and they're really going to be able to deliver their particular brand of fucking short-sighted craziness to wherever they want to go, that's scary. With regard to Hegseth and the people in the positions that they're in, it's just, I feel like we have been, my whole life, ever since I was a kid, all I ever remember hearing is we need more weapons. We need more powerful weapons. We need more weapons. We need a bigger military. We need a faster military. We need a more deadly military. But the threats are everywhere. They're all around us all the time. And it's like, we are the biggest empire that's ever existed in the world, in history. We have the most powerful military ever. We spend more money on it annually than the next 10 largest competitor countries combined, and 5 of those are allies. Why can't we stop for just a minute? Can we just take a year?
I explore this a little bit in tonight's episode, but I try and answer the question: will humanity stop before it creates AGI? Will it be able to stop itself? There are a couple of examples where humanity has been able to do it. In some areas of biological research, we've said, okay, we probably shouldn't fuck with that. So there have been accords put in place. But when it comes to the economic and militaristic advantage that AGI provides, I don't see that there's any way we will be able to stop ourselves. And one of the big reasons why Anthropic, even though there's 20 different AIs to choose from, the reason why AI, Anthropic might be important is because it's a difference between us having 19 AIs and China having 20. It's as simple as that. We're in a race right now to figure out the way to destroy ourselves in the most convenient way.
Yes.
There's your doom.
There's your doom. Well, you know what's weird too is like, and this is the thing, like I don't have a particular stance on China's internal, political situation because I've never been to China. I don't have any experience with China. I don't know. But what I do know is that the United States has started how many wars? We're about to start one right now. We got an aircraft carrier waiting to go. We're about to go to war with Iran.
Since you guys are a country, you've had like 20 years of peace. What the fuck is that?
Dude, all we do is go around and start wars with people. We are the fucking problem. It's us. That's what it is, And the one place where we could actually make a difference for people, like we could go to Ukraine and we could get involved there and make a difference for these people, but we're not involved in that, at all. Not really, according to Trump anyway. I don't know, man. It's like we're constantly at war. We have how many military bases? 900 military bases around the world. And we're worried about China coming over here. Dude, how many bases do we have all around China? What is the joke about Iran? They put their country so close to all our military bases. It's like they want a war. They're surrounded by military. Look at how many American military bases are surrounding Iran. It's fucking crazy. Like, I don't know, man.
But don't feel intimidated. It's fine. It's totally fine.
Well, the whole thing about, the justification, we got to stop them from having a nuclear program. Well, isn't that what you did a few months ago when you launched cruise missiles into their fucking mountain complex? Remember the bunker busters they dropped on that fucking mountain? And they were like, we obliterated their nuclear program. Mission accomplished.
Here you are with an aircraft fleet. Literally.
And now we're going back.
That's like the biggest publicly acknowledged thing you can really do is position your nuclear aircraft fleet, right? Because these things are nuclear powered, and there's you can bet your ass there's an equal number of vehicles under the ocean that are following all of that shit.
It's a fleet. There's a fleet there. They're ready to go full blast. Like I think they want to
biggest thing, isn't it? That's the thing you don't want to mess with is what is in that ocean right now.
Fuck, man. Like and again, we just finished the war. Like the war in Afghanistan was the longest war in American history. It cost over $4.5 trillion. I think it was, some estimates put it at 6 trillion, some put it at 4 trillion, some people say it's somewhere in between, but it was the most expensive war ever. Longest war in American history. And when it was over, we just left. And we didn't even bring our shit back. We left it there. Left all that equipment.
And the
all
guys
that shit.
you kicked out and I shouldn't say you because it was we. The guys we kicked out, they're right back in there.
Yeah,
they're right back in. Women, nah, no more university, no more school. Straight back to the way it was.
I hope that the younger people in the generations to come are hip to how fucking backwards all of these policy decisions are and how much the propaganda is just that propaganda. And I hope that people are more educated about this. I worry, though, that that's what AI will eventually be used for, is to convince people that all these like weird misadventures are justified and make perfect sense. It's just, it's such a waste of resources. Pavel, you got somebody in the chat who retro 1236. I don't know what this is. But...
You probably said something dumb. I'm sorry, but I usually.
There you go. It's as simple as that.
Sorry. I do apologize, but you probably said something dumb and that prompted it. I do have a short temper. I'm from Tijuana. Like some people, like I do try to be a pacifist most of the time, but I do lose my temper occasionally when I read dumb comments.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish your thought. I had a question.
No, that's it. That's all I wanted to say.
Can you tell us, for people watching, like what was the situation that happened with the cartels? Can you explain that since you're kind of close to it?
Yeah. Well, something happened to my family though, actually. Well, I was born in Guadalajara, Jalisco, and my dad lives there. My two of my brothers, three of my brothers and two sisters lived there, and bunch of uncles, cousins. So we knew that the situation was pretty dire because this guy that they unalived is arguably the most violent cartel leader in history. He's like, people have been finding homes with a lot of shoes and bags and cell phones of people that are no longer there, and they just hoarded all of their stuff in like a ranch. And that was found, I think, on the same day or the day after the whole conflict started, because the National Guard and the military from Mexico just said, fuck it. And they went after everybody. Everybody. Like, it's been in the last 3 or 4 days, they've got like hundreds and hundreds of cartel members arrested, and many of them also unalived. And on that day, they burned nearly 300 cars and buses in 20 states throughout the country. We have 32 states, just so you like, it's more than half the country that was under siege, essentially. And it's what they do. They've done it here in Tijuana before. You're muted.
How long was the country under siege for? But because we saw it blow up in the news, but how long was that simmering for?
It happened, like, the worst things happened on Sunday, the 22nd it was, I think, and on Monday, the 23rd. And those were the worst days, but stuff is still happening right now. Like that, just the other day, there was another car burnt in one of the key points in the city here in Tijuana. And the thing that got my family is that my dad usually drives a lot around that area of Guadalajara and towns that are close to there. And he's a doctor, my dad. And he drives there. And when it started happening, I messaged him immediately because I knew that was around the time when he was driving, because he usually drives in the morning. And I just texted him and asked him if he was okay. I started making sure that my entire family, because it also happened in Vallarta, which was one of the worst and most affected cities, and I have a lot of family there. So I was making sure that everybody was okay. And like 4 hours later, he sent me a picture of his car burning. And they took him out of his car with a gun, pointing him with a gun, and he decided to film what they were doing and take pictures because of the insurance money. And they grabbed his phone and they cracked it, and they just left him there. They didn't touch him. They didn't hurt him. Like,
whoa.
Yeah, but he lost it, and he messaged me after 4 hours, and he was like, my car was burnt. I'm okay. I made it back home. It was a whole adventure, but I'm safe. I'm like, fuck, bro.
How were they able to execute an operation of that size and scale without the cartels getting word of it in advance? Like, isn't the Mexican government notoriously penetrated by the cartels?
Yeah, it's. I think that it's all kayfabe, if I'm honest with you. They know. They have their fall guys. It's all like set up like that because of the corruption. So to me, and I'm being completely honest here, and this is one of the reasons why I don't talk about this much, because I live here and I'm always at risk as a public person if I talk about this. But for me, the main responsible for all of this are corrupt politicians. It's not necessarily the cartels. And a lot of the weapons being used by a lot of these cartels came from the US. And the ones who keep going into countries, and when they come out, there's suddenly 2 or 3 cells of like cartel members or guerrilla members, and it's kind of weird how that goes, right? Like, it always happens. So,
well, that's intelligence agencies setting those up to run drugs and for off the books money to finance illegal operations. That's what we did in Panama, and we did that all throughout South America. The CIA has been doing that forever. There was a guy named Michael Rupert back in the mid 1990s who called out the then sitting CIA director on national television. He was a police officer. Michael Rupert was a retired LAPD detective, and he was at a taping of a TV show where the CIA director at the time, and I can't remember who it was, I'd have to go look it up, was speaking. And he gets up in this live show and he was like, he busted him right on air. Like, the CIA has been selling drugs in all these different neighborhoods, these black neighborhoods throughout Los Angeles, and we've got the documents. There was another guy who, what is his name? He got shot like 4 times he shot himself in the head a bunch of times. And he was a reporter who exposed all this too.
In the head a bunch of times.
That
was nice.
That's just one example of many that keep happening here. Like here in Tijuana, over the last decade, like about a dozen journalists have been unalived.
Wow.
Because they were speaking against either politicians or cartels. And there's a lot happening all the time.
Do the cartels, Pavel, serve, like, I'm not pro cartel, but I understand that in local regions, like, a lot of times cartels will take on the role of local government in that area. Is that true? And how does that work?
That doesn't happen anymore, I don't think, unless it's like a really localized, like, small town where this hypothetical cartel member comes from, which I think does happen still. But the majority of cartels have grown way more desensitized and way more violent because of this dynamic that has been developing of them abducting young men and training them to become cartel members or just work for the organization. And that has developed a really negative dynamic where they grow up with a false idea that they're going to have like women and money and all this shit. And they realize that what they're facing is like $150 a week salary. And many of them don't even make it past 15 years old.
Wow.
So, and that's essentially what is now driving the entire like cartel industry, because that's what they do. And they also like traffic women and all that stuff. That's also happening.
I understand they send that some of the cartels are sending guys to Ukraine to learn how to fly drones and fight, because the Ukrainians are doing all this really bad drone warfare.
I've seen some images of them with some of these guns that are like directed energy weapons. That is like a rifle, but it's like a really big one. Have you seen those? Mm-hmm. I've seen cartel members with some of those. So, you know, they. I know that the Navy SEALs and the whole Green Berets and all these guys, they think that like they would end cartels like in a heartbeat. That may be likely, but I don't think underestimating such a huge organization is smart for anybody. You know, if you're gonna
a lot of these cartel guys are former special forces trained guys. They hire these guys too to train. They're running their own military.
There was one of rogue special agents that came up in the late 2010s. Early 2010s, sorry. They were called Los Zetas. And these guys were all like former special operation, and they just became a cartel. And
Los Zetas? Z-E-T-A?
Los Zetas, yeah. And they like straight up were like the bloodiest you can think of. Those were those guys. And they became a fucking cartel, bro.
Whoa.
Most of them are no longer alive or in jail. Most of them by now. They're no longer around. But many of them did move on to this current cartel, you know. So, yeah. Any more questions about this?
Wow. I just didn't realize how close you were to this whole event when this went off. And I saw that picture. I was like, oh, my God. Yeah,
I thought he'd had a car crash. I was literally like, "Is he all right?"
No.
'Cause, like, I thought he'd like had some sort of like.
No,
thought
they
he might be
carjacked
banged
him
up.
and burned his car to a crisp.
wow.
Wow. Say hola
He's
from
fine.
me.
That's doomy.
Yeah. I'm just
Yeah.
glad he's okay. I don't like. My heart sank when I read what he wrote to me. I was like, "What the fuck, bro?"
People in the chat
Crazy.
are asking what's your secret, Pavel? You look lean and young and fit, and they're asking, what is it you're doing? What's your secret? You work out?
About 3 times a week, sometimes 4.
Really?
Yeah,
What do you
I
do?
lift
What kind of workout?
weights. I just lift weights and do cardio. That's it, really. And thanks to my lovely wife, she has a really cool system of diet and all that, and she's wonderful.
You're coming to my town in a couple of weeks.
Yes, let's talk about that. Holy
We're gonna hang
shit.
out. I have a
Yes.
bunch of restaurants I want to take you to.
Oh shit,
Yeah,
bro.
man.
That's funny. We're gonna have
you-
all Saturday free, so we can do whatever we want on Saturday.
Can you tell people what you're doing?
Yes, I already said it on one of my previous videos. I am Matt Bell from the Matt Bell Podcast, formerly known as Matt Bell Limitless. He has a wonderful podcast. I didn't know he was based in Sarasota, and Clint lives there, and he invited me to his podcast. He does like the in-studio stuff, and there's been a lot of really great guests he's had, so it's an honor for me to be invited. And we're gonna tape, I think, on the 13th of March. I don't know when that's coming out, but that's when it's gonna be recorded.
That's
And I'm gonna meet
weird.
Clint in person. Hell yeah.
Oh, dude, we're gonna have fun. That's so weird that you're gonna be in my town. That's so what a random. A lot of people live here, but it's just not a place that I would have thought.
Man, I would love for all of you guys to come to Tijuana.
I'll go to
party
Tijuana.
so hard.
I'll go.
Not the way you describe it, buddy. I'll be honest.
I mean, if you're with me, you're gonna be fine.
I don't know.
I do.
I'm kidding.
Chat question here. Do you think love is unique to us humans? Could that be what they are researching? Are they jealous?
I got something for this.
Is love the secret?
I really do. I really may have something for this.
What do you think? Go ahead.
This is obviously this is huge speculation. Like we don't know even really how to quantify something like love or experience or anything like that. But I think the question is more going towards, what's the human value? Like what's the point in keeping us here? There must be 1,000 other species to study and things like that. Or there might be, aside from all of the threat that we may pose as on the dawn of creating an AGI that could potentially unlock the powers of God for us, it might be the case, just a thought here, it might be the case that what we can offer is the idea that experience itself, the experience that I have, you have, and everybody on Earth has, is a fundamental sort of manifestation of part of a universal field in terms, and by that I mean we all know about the idea of quantum mechanics and the idea that something needs to be measured to collapse the wave function and become real. The idea here goes into the fact that even though we may create a sentience, that sentience might just be something that exists inside our sentience because it's inside the universe that we have manifested. So in that way, yes, Donald Hoffman, it's kind of similar to what Don Hoffman's saying, and he thinks he's actually on the cusp of making a big
Yes, he
discovery
is.
as well. That's quite interesting.
He says he has evidence about it.
That
and
would
he's
be...
going to present it. He's just waiting for the mathematicians to give him the green light. No, it's Donald Hoffman, Dr. Donald
Dustin
Hoffman.
Hoffman's got an experiment.
Yeah, I know I said that in a really bad way, but the idea
Tootsie proves consciousness is real. What the
yeah,
fuck?
but you know, human experience might actually be a fundamental aspect of reality itself, and therefore anything that we create, and perhaps any sort of other sentience in the universe that may not have the same experience as us, may need to preserve us specifically so the universe can persist. Because without us, without us, the tree is falling in the forest without anybody to hear it.
I think that all of Earth and like every being on Earth is like a single organism, but it becomes disconnected at a certain point, certain parts of it. And I think us humans, as we grow up, we become disconnected of it too. But we still like actively create reality collectively, all of us, and we don't realize it because it's on a subconscious level. And we don't believe it. We think we're individuals, and we are to a certain extent, but we're also a piece of like a big chunk of thing, like, and it's a small piece. And this is something that I've spoken to the mushroom about for like hours.
What did the mushroom tell you? I'm looking for a book on my bookshelf while I'm listening.
At a certain point, I felt like I felt connected to like everything, and I felt like I could sort of micro predict moments as I was on the trip. And it dawned on me that, like when we're little, we start life connected to the whole thing. And then certain aspects of life, certain things we eat, like everything that happens that eventually disconnects us, and many of us, and we don't find that reconnection, some of us, throughout our lives. Many of us do, many of us don't. I think that's once there is like a scientific explanation of how that mechanism works, I think that's when we're gonna like get the realization that we are creating reality together, like all of us.
There's a book. I'm going to get it really quick. It's across the room here. Let me jump off for a second. I'll bring it right back. This to your point. This is going to tie in.
And Pavel, are you of the opinion that when we expire in this reality, we're reconnected to something or connected to something new? There's some kind of connection, some kind of
I guess it
integration?
depends on whether the cosmic internet theory is real or not, bro. Because if the world dies out, and there is no network as Sander describes, that's it. We don't go back to anything. But if Sander is right, that means that we do, which is bananas.
I'm convinced that there is nothing to fear at death, at the point of death. I'm pretty convinced. Psychedelics cured that for me. I'm there. I don't want to die. I want to live a very long, healthy, happy life. But when you take all of the filters off, and when you're under a heavy heroic dose of a powerful psychedelic, and all those filters come off, and you realize that everything about you can disappear, and you're still there. There's still an I that doesn't ever go out. That is calming. That's very reassuring when you come back and you just go, okay. So whatever it's like, you make it through, I think, in some form. There's a book that I thought of when you were talking earlier, a second ago, and it speaks to some of the stuff that you were saying. And it's one of the best books I own. I recommend it to everybody when I remember to, and it is literally this thin. It is The Kabbalion. I don't know if anybody out there, if you guys are familiar with the Kabbalion, the Hermetic.
Yeah, that's a classic.
Hermetic philosophy of ancient Egypt and Greece. And it's basically like a manual. It's the user manual for this reality. And it starts with this fundamental sort of axiom that everything is mental. The whole universe is one mind. All reality is one mind expressing itself. And then just from that one baseline assumption, it extrapolates all of the other logical conclusions one could draw about how reality would work and how you can operate within it in the mental realm. So you have like this concept of as above, so below. And the whole fundamental principle is that your mental environment is what comes first, and that's what manifests your physical environment. So internally, you're having your own experience of the world, and then you actualize that experience in real life, and we're all sharing the same space, so we're all actualizing our own internal universe, but we're creating a participatory reality as well. And so there's like this fractal sort of process that unfolds throughout society as you go, and it's all based on these really straightforward.
Have you ever been able to physically see the fractals when you're on psychedelics?
Oh my God,
that's a really cool thing that happened to me constantly with certain psychedelics, and every time I saw it, it was like, whoa, it feels all like preordained and arranged that way. When I saw the smoke plumes going up, I was at a party. They seemed all like really well organized and put together throughout the fractals, and you could see the smoke going through the fractals. It was really cool.
I think for me, the thing that blew me away the most was that fractals happen in other things, in a context other than visual context. There is like an emotional fractal. Right, you can feel, like, you'll get an emotion, you'll feel it, and then it will bloom into all of these other experiences that connect throughout your life and will tie back to that same emotion and will show you some new aspect of yourself that you didn't see before, and you come away from it with this I don't know, it just calmed me the fuck right down. As soon as I got out of it, I was just like, wow, it's okay, everything's okay. It's all good. There's some scary shit in the world, and that's real, but
yep,
your mental landscape is everything.
Why do you think that this? It's getting a little bit late, but this is probably a bit too big a question to ask. But I've not tried psychedelics, but I don't know. I've not had this experience. But why do you think hell factors into this? Because some people experience hell when they're on psychedelics, and it may well be part of certain setting, and that's kind of pointing towards what we're like the human situation we put ourselves in. But to tie it back to the very first story that we talked about tonight, the Pentagon potentially being afraid of all this, what it means, the demons and the religious aspects of stuff. Why, when we can talk so openly about things like effectively universal consciousness and how amazing, really, awe-inspiring it all could be, why on earth did we invent the notion of something called hell? I mean, maybe it is real, I don't know. But if it isn't, what drove us to create such a barrier to be able to explore these ideas? Like, if we had this conversation with a deeply religious person right now, they would be checked out. They would be gone. They would be saying, like, no, we're not even allowed to talk about this at this point.
But the Gnostics used psychedelics. Like, there's a whole sub-world of Christianity where that all got buried. And, like, the church created heaven and hell to create... Yeah. It's like a marketing campaign.
What happened to us, man? It's so sad.
I mean...
Because we could be somewhere else right now. We really could.
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, it's like we are. Christianity is just one aspect of how to look at all this stuff, but like the thing about psychedelics for me anyway, that there is no middleman. It's you and source. You will taste what it's like to go beyond the veil. You will come back with knowledge gained through personal experience, and there is nothing I can tell you that will prepare you really for what it's like. There's nothing Pavel's going to say. There's no book you can read, because the things that you're going to come back with are beyond language. There is no language. It's insufficient. So when you go, the thing about intention is sort of the energy you bring to the session. It's what you're going, if you're going in, open and full of love and positivity, and you're like, I just want to know. I just want contact with this knowledge. I want to understand. Then a lot of times you'll have a gentle experience. But this, like, your intention that you come in with, if you're a troubled person tormented by things that you've done and you've got a fucked up past, or maybe you've got some shit on your mind that's really heavy and you're dealing with a lot, and you also aren't necessarily probably ready for this, and you go into a heavy duty psychedelic experience, it can feel like hell. And the thing that's really scary is that time doesn't play really a role. You might feel like you're in it for 100 years. You might feel like you're dead and you're never coming back, but you will. You're not dead.
Yeah.
You will come back. But when you're in it, it doesn't feel that way at all. I don't know. The hell thing is, I didn't have anything like that. It was, it blew away my notions of what reality even is and changed my whole perspective on all of it. But I didn't have a negative experience. I had a very positive.
I think hell definitely is a human construct. That's just my opinion. I know that everybody has their own, but I think that's what we are creating. And it's this, for me, it's an evolutionary trait that humans have right now, the desire or the need to worship something they believe is higher than they are, or at a higher level than they are. And that develops into fear. And remember, fear is the mind killer. I think that's key to all of that.
Interesting, slightly unrelated fact, but my YouTube algorithm is kind of fucked up. So it will recommend really weird videos to me. It started recommending critiques of religious artwork to me the other day, and I bit and I love it. So well done, algorithm. I learned. Do you know the word pandemonium?
Mm-hmm.
That's the word for the city in hell. I had no idea. That's where the word pandemonium comes from.
Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. Pan meaning, I think, all, and demonium is demons. It was coined by a poet like hundreds of years ago. That's where the word pandemonium comes. I just found that so incredibly interesting. But that's how interwoven these religious ideas are. This poet came up with a phrase for the city in hell hundreds of years ago, and now we use it to categorize a whole. If something descends into pandemonium, and that's a religious word.
I think that like fundamentalism from the religious people, especially the ones that are like Abrahamic. I'm pretty sure.
Have you listened to the band Rainbow?
I have not. I'm sorry. I just saw that message.
Ronnie James Dio, Heaven and Hell.
I have not.
I'll send.
I did see a video of Dio saying that he was possessed by a demon and that they summoned Baal. That was crazy.
Dio said that?
Yeah, I just showed the video to a friend. I'll send it to you later.
I know Dave Mustaine is very anti Ouija boards, anti all this stuff because he's got the
pick of destiny
demon thing.
I love that film.
The Pick of Destiny.
Yeah, dude, it's so good.
Oh my god. The question earlier was like, do humans is love unique to humans, or is it something that the NHI are studying because we experience love? And it reminded me of if you've ever seen videos of elephants that mourn their dead when they lose one of the group, and you see elephants walk around. You can see they're heartbroken. You can see, animals in captivity express sadness and something like what appears to me to be love. Coco the gorilla. I think about the video I posted on my Instagram a few days ago of her talking to people about the collapse of the environment and the COP21 summit. And it's like, dude, this stuff brings me to tears all the time. I think animals feel love probably more than we do.
I got a story about that.
What is it?
Something happened this week, like 2 days ago, because my wife, when we arrived, we loved it. We have a lot of doggies around, right? Like every house has a dog. And there occasionally you get like dogs that are just in the street. And my wife always puts food and water out there so they can eat. And 2 days ago, we had a pug come into the door and it had its injured left eye.
I had a pug. I just lost my
pug
a little while ago.
I'm sorry to hear that. And I realized that the dog didn't want to leave. So we started asking, like the neighbors, and we saw a Facebook post of a young woman who was looking for her pug. And I messaged her, and it was like instantly. But I keep thinking this pug, because of what my wife does, that she puts food and water always. I wonder if the other dogs were like, "Oh, you're lost. There's food and water right there outside by the lemon tree."
Yes, they do. I think they do.
Yeah.
Have you? I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen like street dogs in Peru when I would go visit my wife's family and stuff. Street dogs in different parts, but they all have like a little community. They get together in the morning. They come out. They go to the cafe. You know, like in Cusco, there's like all this little street dog community, and I would see them every day. They would come out, and I think they, yeah, why not?
Yeah. And the dog stayed there, and the girl responded, and she came to pick him up, and it was him.
I want to
it was
know.
hers.
You know, can we use AI to communicate with dolphins? Can we communicate with whales? Can we use it to communicate with other forms of intelligence in our own ecosystem? You know, that before we get to the alien thing. And what would they tell us? I mean, you know, gorillas that can use sign language. It's so depressing to watch a gorilla explain its internal state.
Yeah.
It just feels like, oh God, we're
sad,
awful,
sad,
awful people.
sad, sad, sad. That's, I don't think we've got a word that he needs right now. He's just saying the word sad over and over.
You reminded me of that joke of Robin Williams when he met Coco. Do you guys remember that? Coco like wanted to take him out of the back because he was really hairy like her.
Oh, really? Is that right?
Yeah. He was like, Coco wants to fuck me. What's going on?
Yeah. Clint loves all animals. I do love all animals.
Yeah.
I had a
they're cool.
pug. I had a pug that was he was 16 years old, Chewy, and he finally we had to let him cross the Rainbow Bridge about 2 years ago, and it was pretty sad. Anyway, on that note, go ahead, and it's Friday.
It's Friday. Oh, live that do. Yeah, it's Friday. It's been 4 years since I started dating my wife today, so we're gonna go out and celebrate.
Congratulations.
Nice.
Nice.
What's your wife's name?
Tonatzin. It's it's a Mexican name from an indigenous community. It means the mother of everything. That's her name, Tonatzin.
How do
That's
we
interesting.
say it again?
because I met my wife. I married my wife 4 years ago, almost to the day as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. We're going away tomorrow to celebrate our anniversary as well.
We're going to a party later tonight, and then I think tomorrow we're going to the movies. We're gonna watch Spirited Away in the movies.
Spirited Away. The anime?
Yeah, it's
awesome.
back in theaters, so
I didn't know it was
we're
back
gonna
in
go
theaters.
watch it.
That's awesome.
Here in Tijuana it is.
God, I haven't gone to a movie since before my kid was born.
Oh man. Is he not at that age where he likes movies now? Or is he a
He loves
different
movies,
type of
but
child?
He's 4, so I can't show him anything I want to watch. It's all Paw
Oh,
Patrol.
that's
and,
true. That's
you
true.
know,
No,
he
this
runs the
one, son.
TV.
It's called
Show him the
Terminator. Pay
Avengers.
attention. Take some notes.
Yeah.
Show him the Avengers saga. I think it's time for him to start watching that.
Oh my God. My wife won't let me show him anything. I watched. I was playing Call of Duty the other day, and he walked in, and she was like, "Don't look at what Daddy's playing. Don't. It's too violent." I'm like, "All right," but it is. But yeah, it's all Paw Patrol.
Oh man, I would be a terrible
Paw
father.
Patrol. What the fuck's going on in Adventure Bay? This one kid, this billionaire kid, has a fucking aircraft carrier, and his little cadre of pups. Like, what they need is a well-funded fire department, a police department. We need some social services in this community.
That's Elon Pup right there.
Yeah.
Hey, did you guys see the update? Oh yeah, we did
update?
mention it.
What
Of
update?
Hillary.
Oh yeah.
Since we've been on air, there's another update.
Yeah, you did mention it, that she talked about that she was the one who asked about the NDAA. That was wild. If she was the one who asked,
Very weird,
yeah,
because that was 2024.
yeah.
Last time she ran for office was 2016. So
think she's
8
just
years
really
later, she's
interested, man.
asking about a legislation that she has nothing to do with. She's not even in office. Like, why is she asking about that?
I would guess that she's part of the Rockefeller Initiative.
Well, I know she's asked about UFOs before. She's been in, Harry Reid, he was a senator. She was a senator from New York. Harry Reid was senator while her husband was president. A lot of
Podesta
stuff.
was her campaign manager, and he's infatuated with UAPs.
Podesta.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He said one of his greatest regrets was not being able to access and reveal the UFO topic. He said that was one of the greatest regrets of his entire career. Podesta.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
He said
Because
that?
UFOs are
Yeah.
real, dude. Everything's real.
Yep.
We're so far past the is it real?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're so far past all that. And I wonder, like, you think that's locked in? There's no going back now. We're past it. I think we have like fumbled our way past some kind of disclosure milestone.
I agree.
Right? Like it wasn't what anyone imagined it would be. And it may still turn out to be that. I don't think it will, but we are definitely past the it's real thing.
So I have the Podesta quote. This is February 2015. John Podesta, former White House aide to 2 presidents, admits, quote, "My biggest failure of 2014 was not, again, securing the disclosure of the UFO files." So not in his life, but for all of 2014, he said that was his biggest shortcoming and regret. Yeah, he's like friends with Tom DeLonge. He's probably friends with Dan, too. So obnoxious.
Dan. Do you think we're going to get what do you anticipate for Trump? Let's bring it back around to the disclosure thing we started with. I mean, he says July 8th, according to
Mark Christopher Lee.
The rumors are out there. He's basically confirmed that there is something. What do you expect? What do you think he's going to do?
Well, I'm not sure. Someone asked me this the other day, and I'm not sure, but I have a guess, and it's tied to the Epstein stuff. Okay, so everyone wanted to see the Epstein files, and so what? Now I think I was naive at first, I must admit. So they released 3.25 million pages of documents, and the greatest problem I've seen when people are trying to comment on this intelligently, everyone's like, it's too much material. Like, I don't even know where to begin, right? One lifetime, you couldn't even read half of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of other strange things are coming out about the whole Epstein thing that are super creepy and super disturbing and just unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
If I was in Trump's position and I wanted to safeguard what the government knows about UAPs, I would do the same exact thing. Okay. So what I would do is I would release so much information that it would be impossible to sort through. I'd also release a lot of crazy information about abductions, dramatic video, dramatic photos. And it seems so unreal that people won't believe it. Now, this is what the government did with the DHS documents with Kona Blue. Kona Blue, according to James Lukatsky, existed, and it still exists. And DHS purposely declassified the documents, though they're real, but they were so woo, people didn't believe it.
Super
George
woo.
Knapp has said this. He goes, that's why they declassified it. It's so weird, it can't be true. So what my guess is, it's a complete information dump that's impossible to sort through, and the evidence is so good, it can't be true.
What was so weird and woo in the Kona Blue?
They basically talk about like psi abilities and the studies that are being conducted about psi and about manifestation. Are you familiar with Slide 9?
The infamous leaked Slide 9?
Yeah.
Yes.
Essentially, Kona Blue is like a way more prepared program that talks about a lot of the stuff in slide 9.
Slide 9 was where they said, yeah, you could affect someone's mind from a distance, right?
Yeah.
Let's find out. Where's slide 9? Slide 9. Anyone in the chat know what we're talking about here? Slide 9, the infamous leaked slide 9 was this Lou's presentation?
I think it was one of the documents that came out when Lou resigned. It leaked at his resignation letter, I think, and slide 9 was right beside it, I think. I'm not sure. People are going to correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, but
I've got the slide, but this website is questionable. So let me pull up a different website here. Slide 9, Reddit. Was it in Reddit? The advanced slide 9 refers to the specific document from a briefing by the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, which was a secret Pentagon unit led by Lou Elizondo. Cognitive manipulation. Details from the slide. The slide suggests that science exists for an adversary to manipulate both physical and cognitive environments. Quantum-based technologies, national security threat, and psychological neurological threat. Wow.
And Clint, whenever you're ready, I have a couple notes here from the Kona Blue document that you might be interested in hearing.
Go ahead.
Okay, so this is directly from the DHS declassified Kona Blue document, and this fell under program goals, and I'll keep them brief, but these are direct quotes from the DHS document. 1, develop remote viewing countermeasures. So people were remote viewing our shit, and they were trying to stop that from happening. Another one, study consciousness interactions and control of technology. So I think that was using your mind to fly UAPs. Study physiological and psychological effects of interaction with vehicles. So you're seeing a UAP and something happens to you psychologically and physiologically.
That could relate to, there's reports of people that were still in control of UAP when they were being hit with a directed energy weapon to bring the UAP down, and that as a result, the people still connected to that craft were harmed or killed. Correct. As a result.
Correct. And just 2 more, I'll save the best for last. The use of human observers as biosensors will be incorporated as a major component of site monitoring efforts. So they're regarding humans as biosensors that they could detect and maybe call in UAPs. And the last one, this is one of the program goals, remote vision, remote communication, and D and re-materialization techniques to observe, communicate, retrieve data, and transfer matter across dimensional and space-time barriers, which is basically dematerializing something and having it come back like the Star Trek dudes did.
Yep.
This is all like...
Where are you reading this from?
Kona Blue.
This is the declassified DHS document of Kona Blue.
Fuck.
And by the way, I think I told you this a couple weeks ago. I look out my window. This is one of their field sites. They were hanging out here all the time looking for shit.
Insane. I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Why?
It's crazy.
It's pretty wild. Yeah.
Wait.
I've
So
done a bunch of videos about it.
Where's the link to this? Like, where can we see that? I want to see
You
this
can
whole
just type
thing.
in.
I have the
DHS
document.
Kona
I'll
Blue.
send it to you later.
Send it.
Declassified. Yeah, it's a PDF online.
Yep.
And so the story was from Kathleen Hicks that we were gonna do it, and we set aside some money. But it's like, look, Hatsky and all these guys, they were like ghost hunters and a bunch of weirdos, and so we canceled it. Lukatsky said the complete opposite. He said, it has been around. It is still around. He goes, this thing that it never existed is total horseshit.
Wow.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Wow. So they were trying to... The remote viewing countermeasures thing is really interesting.
Yeah.
Because we've had a few remote viewers on the show, and I've talked to Daz Smith about it, about countermeasures. He was aware of none whatsoever. He was like, they put these guys in Faraday cages. They put them in submarines. They sent them into orbit. Like, there's nothing. It doesn't matter how far apart you are or what shielding you have. Like, there's nothing that can stop a remote viewer.
Dr. Julia Mossrich and Dr. Dean Radin recently stated that there was an ongoing remote viewing program from the government, but it's not classified anymore. It's just quiet.
And maybe,
and I don't know, but you're right, Clint. They've put, remote viewers and submarines at the bottom of the sea, and they could still do it. I don't know, but I took that sentence, remote view countermeasures, as like a remote viewer countering a remote viewer. I don't think it was a physical barrier.
right. That's what I'm thinking. I'm working backwards. Like, they would have to interfere with the actual person.
Yeah.
So you would need a way to figure out when you're being remote viewed.
Yeah.
Then deploy someone who could find the person that's doing the viewing and then interfere with them. And what's interesting is, what was it? It was in, Ingo Swann said it in his book. He was like, when he went to remote view the moon, he's like, they saw me.
Yeah.
They chased me off. They were like, someone saw me and they were like, oh, someone's watching us. And they made him leave.
Yeah.
And penetration.
Yeah. Fuck.
And
I love
they have
these conversations. This is the this is the juice for me right here. All this is like,
and they at least had or still have 3 sites. There's a site in Missouri with noted paranormal UAP activity, Skinwalker Ranch, and the San Luis Valley of Colorado. Those are the 3 sites.
whoa. Yeah. I can't wait to see how all this comes together. I wonder if we'll ever know. What's going on with the telepathy tapes? That whole thing. Was there further research after the telepathy tapes dropped?
There was already a viewing of the documentary that Kai Dickens organized for a lot of the people involved in the film. And obviously they're biased because it's their baby. They were very overwhelmingly positive and all that. When I spoke to Chris Ramsey on my show, he made it clear that he had his reservations about the entire thing and about certain individuals that claim to have certain abilities, but he's an expert at debunking this type of mentalist stuff, So I take his word for it because he has been doing it for years, like debunking this type of stuff. So it's hard to fool somebody like him.
Chris Ramsey.
But something that I do want to mention, though, is that when I first heard the podcast years ago, people who knew my mother, who's a doctor in my family, I know a couple of doctors who have nonverbal autistic children, and one of them was he called my mom. He told me that he wanted to talk to me, and he was like, "This stuff does happen. There is like a community in Mexico of these types of parents of these children, and it doesn't happen to everyone. It doesn't happen to all nonverbal autistic children. So that's strange. That's hard to know why, hard to understand why, but it does happen." And I was like, okay, so this is in my community. This is really happening. Now, saying that and also understanding that there are a lot of people who want to just grift and who, that's also happening. So kind of hard to learn to identify the ones who are trying to, play you for a fool.
Wow. I heard Diane Hennessy Powell on a podcast recently where she was saying something about some kids that have this ability. They don't actively use it to communicate, but they listen in. She's like, they're called eavesdroppers, and they're like around, and they'll just listen in on other people's thoughts, and they'll just kind of mix in. And Chris Ramsey said something interesting about, he's like, I always just am looking for someone who might be telepathic, when I'm out. He's like, I just kind of put it out there. Like, if you could hear me, let me know. And he's kind of, it was, I just thought that was really interesting to hear him say the way he put it. He said, because he was kind of joking, but he was also kind of serious about it. He seemed like he was really doing it.
Did you see his interview with Chrissy Newton?
No, I haven't seen. When did he interview Chris?
They did some like telepathy tests, and they did like guess each other's numbers, and it was pretty wild to see. I don't know how they did it, but it was pretty cool.
Dude, homeboy unlocked my phone, and I have no idea to this day. I'm still like wondering how he did it. He's like, and Corbell was there, and he was like, "Don't touch me, don't fucking touch me." And we all watched him. We watched Ramsey do something to Corbell, and he was able to like, I don't know what he did. He didn't even move, and suddenly Jeremy looks under his watch, and he pulls out a folded up playing card. Ramsey had signed it. It was like underneath his wristwatch. I'm like, what the hell? This guy is a sorcerer. It was the coolest night ever.
Yeah, it was a good night. I think you asked a question about what do we see really playing out, and I'm gonna have to go soon. But
me too. I
I think what happens is not set in stone. Absolutely, I think we are faced with a good opportunity to make some progress. I think Trump, the question comes from two angles. A, does Trump know anything right now? If he knows some fundamental principles, about the truth of the phenomenon, what is his reaction going to be when the Pentagon ultimately stonewalls them? Is he going to accept it, or is he going to say, no, I'm Donald Trump, and you're going to tell me what's going on? Or he knows nothing and accepts that the Pentagon will feed him some horse shit.
Let's be real. His uncle is John G. Trump.
Yeah.
Like FBI, like,
Yeah.
It's impossible he doesn't know a lot of what's going on.
I think he knows some stuff, and I think, if the Pentagon turns around and says this is too sensitive for the public to know, I think he's in a position to make a choice. The question really will be, in the face of him pushing back on the Pentagon, saying, no, I've said this is going to happen, you're going to tell me so I can tell the public. If the Pentagon then continues to say no, will he have the humility to say that to us? Will he say, I've made the request?
No.
I, as the president, the most powerful man on the planet, was denied. Because that would be a story in itself.
He won't do that.
To those who are not aware,
he'll claim victory and say it was exactly what he wanted.
Yeah.
And to those who are not aware, just for the lore aspect of this, John G. Trump not allegedly, that's what he did. He was the first one on Nikola Tesla's flat when Tesla passed away. And John G. Trump worked under Vannevar Bush, who is considered allegedly part of the MJ-12 group.
I have a tough time with this one because everything you're saying is accurate, and I find that part of it genuinely fascinating. It doesn't seem like it's real because it's so amazing, right? Like, what are the odds? But at the same time, it seems weird to me that we know from people who are in the room with this guy all the time that like Donald Trump doesn't like read. Like his briefing books have to be like 3 pages long and have a lot of pictures and they have to put his name in there just randomly.
This is kind of a joke, but also kind of true. Biff only read an almanac, and look at everything he did.
Fair enough. But my point is that, like, it would be, how ironic would it be if like the dumbest person in the world is the one who knows the most about the UFO thing? Like they told that one guy, and he's just like, I don't know, can I build a hotel on it? I don't know. It's like, what can we sell them watches? Will these aliens buy watches? What are they? Can they donate? I just want, okay. So someone in the chat asked for this, and they had a question, and I want to show this before we wrap here. Let me see if I can pull this up here. I'll have to open it in another tab here. And this is I'm making a joke, but I'm speaking to the disclosure people as well. So the question in the chat was, Trump is Retro1236 says Trump is obviously a fascist, narcissist, and possibly demented liar. Could any of you still trust his word if he decides to come out clean and tell us about everything he knows? I don't think so. I don't think.
Idiot.
What an idiot!
I'm joking, Retro. I'm joking.
I don't think so. I mean, this guy, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. How many fucking years have we been looking at who this guy is? He's shown us exactly who he is. He's full of shit. He's a shit talker. He's a dumbass. He is a fucking tin pot dictator. He's not a very intelligent person. Everyone has to blow smoke up his ass all fucking day long. These cabinet meetings that you see where everyone's just constantly showering him with adoration. Like, this is a weak-minded person who has no intention of being honest with people. So whatever he does is going to be done for political gain. And I think
he's focused in war right now. Like,
he's going to war with Iran.
He doesn't give a shit about UFOs. If you ask me, like, he just did it because Obama did it first. That's it, in my opinion.
And I want to point out, this is the same guy who he fucking has his own goddamn wristwatch brand. Watch this. This is 30 seconds. Can you have audio on this?
No, I can't hear anything.
I gotta make it into a Chrome tab. Here you go. This is crazy that this is real. Here we go.
Hello, everyone. It's President Donald J. Trump, and it's Trump time. Check out this red beauty. It's one of my new watches. Wear it proudly on your wrist, and everyone will know exactly what it's for, who it's for, who it represents. It's really going to be something special. It's for your favorite president. Get your watch today at gettrumpwatches.com. These make a great gift. It's Trump time.
That
also
tagline, bro.
I want to point out something he says. Listen to the phrasing he uses in here.
Wear it proudly on your wrist, and everyone will know exactly what it's for, who it represents.
Everyone will know who it's for, what it's for, and what it represents. What kind of fucking weird coded language is that? This is how we'll recognize each other before the coup d'etat kicks off. We'll all have our red watches, and we'll know. I can trust you. You're in. You're in.
Maybe
on
the back of it, you take the watch off, and there's a little iodine pouch on the underside that protects you from the bombs dropping.
No, it's a folded up playing card from Chris Ramsey. Gotcha. With your phone code on it. He does this. He opens my phone, and then he's like, he gives me my phone back, and I'm completely gobsmacked, and it's like late, and I'm like, he goes, and he just looks at me, and I'm like, I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know what just happened. And he goes, now think of a word with 6 letters. Think of a 6-letter word. And I was like, okay. And I'm trying to think of, and I'm also trying to throw Chris off a little bit because I didn't want to like give him what he wanted. So I was like looking to the other guys. I'm like, one of you think of a word. Like, let me get a word from someone else around here. And it was Dan. And he said spider. Is that what it was? I think it was spider.
Yeah, it was spider, yeah.
And then Chris goes, on your phone, go to my Twitter profile.
He said type in spider first as your passcode.
Right.
I think it was.
And then it's like somehow the website he went to is like, why does everyone say spider? Like he knew what he was going to say.
It was his own Instagram.
His own Instagram. That's what it was.
And I went on his Instagram to check as well. But you were trying to open Ramsey's phone at that point.
No, I didn't have. I never had Chris's phone. I only had my phone.
So this is the whole part of the conversation he was having with you about replacing your memories. So I guarantee you, in that trick, you had Ramsey's phone and you were trying to unlock it. You do not remember this, do you?
Did he put his phone in my case? It was my case.
No. So that was 2 different tricks. You're getting... This is part of Ramsey's thing. He confuses your memories to make it...
He fucking
and he even talked us through how to do this.
And then he explained it after. Yes. Yeah, and I still don't get it.
First he guessed your pin. Simple guessing pin trick. And you hated that so much. I could see it on your face. And
I
then,
just no, I didn't hate it. I was just like, how I couldn't, because I don't use my PIN to log. I use my face. Go. I'm like, how you would have had to like see me do it at least once to, or I mean, I guess you could reason your way down to a 4-digit or whatever passcode, but like, I don't know. It just seemed really...
Second trick, he gave you his phone and asked you to unlock his phone. You tried and failed twice.
Yeah.
He asked you for a 6-letter word, and Dan gave you the word spider. Chris told you to type it in. You typed it in, the phone unlocked, and then he asked Dan to go on Instagram and to go to Chris Ramsey's profile. And on Chris Ramsey's profile, it said as the headline, "Why does everybody always say spider?"
Because the other word was orange.
What
are the odds?
It was a cool trick.
What are the fucking odds? Yeah, I know. It's still.
And I checked on my phone; it was the same as well. Like, yeah,
the card cool thing he did with Jeremy was like the one
that was
that
cool.
Really that shocked me. All right, we got to wrap it up there, guys. It's past 4:00. We've gone past the limit here. Hey guys, in the chat, thanks for watching. It's so great to come hang out with you every week and do this and decompress and relax with you guys and talk about the doomiest of doomy subjects. I'm really grateful that we have the opportunity to do this every single week. So with that in mind, please don't forget to like and share this video. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about the stuff that we talked about today. There's a lot going on in the world. It can get pretty scary out there, a little intense from time to time. Remember to take a break, put your phone down, go for a walk outside, get some sunshine, do something with your friends and family. Try to spend some time with people, animals, nature, living things. Relax, live a little. You've earned it. And we'll be back again next week to talk about all this stuff and more. If you are interested in going to Contact in the Desert, you can use the discount code NightShift5 for a discount on your ticket to Contact in the Desert. We will be there, the Night Shift away team, and we're very excited to be there this year. And if you want to support this channel, you can do it by subscribing, or you can become a member, or you can go to Patreon and support us there. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves and each other. Keep looking up. We'll see you next week.